Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Taking Care of Business, and I have the great honor to be here with Jeff Mattson. And let me tell you, it is a privilege to be on the radio, but it is even a greater privilege to be in the presence of an amazing musician, someone who is a consummate professional, a hardworking touring professional, and the fact that he's here today is just incredible. So, for those out there, this is Taking Care of Business, 88.1 FM. This is Richard Solomon, your host. Thank you for being here. I happen to have a whole little thing going on in the studio today. First of all, I have Christina Kay, who's on the soundboard with me because we wanted to make sure we got this right. We have a special co-host, which is Jeffrey Mazzell, an attorney and a very good friend and a great lawyer. And we have an entourage of people as well. Because so Jeff, welcome to Taking Care of Business. Thank you for spending some time with us. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
I just read that you celebrated 2,000 shows.
Well, Dark Star Orchestra celebrated 2,000 shows.
How many have you done?
I've only been in the band for 2 years. But having said that, I can still relate because I've probably done about 5,000 shows in my career. So, but no, actually, that distinction, the 2,000 shows belongs to the band. I don't know if anybody in the band has actually been in all 2,000 shows, to be honest with you.
Well, it's sort of like Jeff and I would go to court. We didn't always go. So let's for the people who may not know, you're associated with the Zen Tricksters, which is sort of now known as Donna Jean and the Tricksters.
No. The Zen Tricksters is very much its own organization there and band. And then we did do a year or two as Donna Jean and the Tricksters, still doing Zen Tricksters shows in between.
Wow.
And then that sort of parted ways, and then I also play with the Donna Jean Godchaux Band, which is I'm the only trickster in that band now, so it gets complicated.
So when you're on the road, how many songs and how many variations of songs do you actually need to have in your head in order to kind of do what you do? Because it's got to be a staggering amount. I mean, it's got to be unbelievable.
Well, I don't have any way of knowing how many it's really, but it's a lot. Yeah, you're right, and. Thankfully, I learned most of them when I was young and still had some brain cells in there, as they slowly die off. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely hundreds of songs that I have to be ready to play at any given time.
And variations of the same song.
Variations, yeah.
Because you could be playing a certain song from a certain era or a certain, improv or whatever. What are the challenges of just having to know all this different music and playing with so many different musicians who have so many different styles and you're switching gears. I know coming up in 2012, you'll be doing some work with Rob Baracco, I think just acoustically. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's one set of music and music abilities. And then of course there's the Dark Star Orchestra, probably your New Year's Eve stuff. So you got that stuff going. So there's got to be tons of challenges, both from an equipment point of view, a music point of view, not enough coffee point of view.
Well, yeah, part of my job is keeping all that straight in my head, definitely. And for the most part, I do. I've been a few misfiring here and there. I can remember one time where I actually in two separate occasions. Once where I play some songs in different keys with Donna because she sings a little higher, where I started a song in the wrong key, and band comes in, everybody else is playing the right key, and vice versa. It also happened with Dark Star. I started a song and picked off the first four notes, and the band comes in and it's jarring sound of being a half step off or something like that, but I fixed it.
Well, that's the beauty of this type of music. It's very forgiving.
Yeah, and the audience is very forgiving
and the audience
too.
Is very forgiving.
Well, let's talk about the audience. There's probably no community of fans like the fans that you have. I mean,
I would agree with that.
They're enthusiastic. They're, they range in age. They are intergenerational. I mean, there you go. See, Jeff is flashing. I mean,
that didn't sound good.
It's radio.
Jeffrey Mazzell, that is.
There you go.
That's a mental picture for you.
But I mean, there's got to be something very, very unique about this particular fan base that's unlike almost any other fan base. Even when you compare people to opera nuts, it's just all kinds of people really just enthusiastic kinds of fans. When you see them in the videos dancing, they sing along. I mean, they're probably the most dedicated and enthusiastic.
Absolutely. I actually had experience recently where I reconnected with a friend from elementary school and junior high school from when I grew up in Queens, and I haven't seen him in about 35 years.
I'm from Queens.
Yeah. And so he came down to a show we were doing in Bridgeport and brought his wife, who I'd never met, and they were not Deadheads. The only connection coming to the show was to see me, and they were just. So here's somebody seeing the Dead phenomenon for the first time, and they were so impressed with the crowd. Before the music even started, they said, everybody was so nice, and everybody was so into it and dancing everywhere. It felt welcoming and festive right away, right off the bat, and that was nice to hear, because we sort of take it for granted, because that's the audience we see all the time, But it's true. You go to another concert and everybody's just kind of sitting there and they clap and yell out for. Well, they yell out for songs at our shows too.
Well, I think this fan base has the closest to tailgating, I guess, as an experience to compare.
Oh, yes.
Like when you go to see, like, say, Eric Clapton, for example, there's no tailgating. You go to the show and you listen to your tunes, he jams, and sometimes he plays the blues or whatever, and then he'll say thank you, and that's it. But here, there's almost like sort of the pre-game show where you can hang out and there's all kinds of people and you can talk to all kinds of people and they all have the common love of the music and the musicians and the whole bit. And then even after the show, people still hang out and talk about the show.
There was also the sort of black market culture that went on there, what they called Shakedown Street, where people would be selling tie-dyes and what do you call them? Grilled cheese sandwiches,
veggie burritos,
exactly, and every other
space
kind
ball, and space goo or something like
and
that.
And every kind of, but every kind of craft, or clothing article that would be attractive to Deadheads.
I remember going to a show and it answered the question of, hey, where did these people get all this clothing? Because I didn't know how to find it. Because you had to buy it on site. It was all before the internet.
It's almost like this timeless event because every time you go, it's familiar and it's the same time and place, but it could be 20 years later too. And it's amazing how this gathering just takes on its own unique personality. And
well, it's definitely an organic experience, Oh, by the way, you're listening to Taking Care of Business on 88.1 FM, WCWP, WCWP.org, and TCBRadio.com. And I am co-hosted with Jeffrey Maisel, and my special guest is Jeff Mattson of Dark Star Orchestra, the Zen Tricksters, and a lot of other great music. And for all those out there who are listening, you're in for a real treat today. So you mentioned Shakedown Street, and the songs of Robert Hunter. Always, as someone who plays the songs of Robert Hunter, and both with Dark Star and with some of the stuff that you've done that were like other pieces, tell me about that, because. He's like I think Robert Hunter was the only non-musician or non-band member to ever be inaugurated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's interesting. Well, they always a lot of the records list him as a band member because he was so critical to the what is the Grateful Dead. Robert Hunter's lyrics and the songs in general were definitely one of the first things that attracted me to the band. Of course, the jamming was a major thing, but if it was just jamming and I didn't dig the songs, I might not have dug it as much, But I love the songs, and that's why I'm able to play them. I've been playing these songs since the early '70s, a lot of them, and it always stays fresh, and I always hear new things in the lyrics. Hunter's lyrics are so open-ended. Unspecific in that you can constantly get things out of the lyrics, he's my favorite. Him and Dylan, they were for me. Everybody else is a distant third.
Well, that's interesting because Dylan and the Dead had a very big relationship, and Robert Hunter, of course. It's interesting because there are some songs from the '70s, like Shakedown Street, when you were mentioning that before, are still relevant today. In fact, what's kind of lost is when you look at the cover of Shakedown Street, that is a great cover because you actually see a lot of people being shaken down in different ways, and it's probably even more true today
Well, you know that was
Sheldon Gilbert or something?
That was supposed to be Front Street in San Rafael.
Oh, yeah?
where they had their studio, which is actually called Club Front, or it's Front Street, they just called it. And that was in a funky neighborhood. You know, it wasn't a fancy facade. They wanted to keep it on the down low, what was going on in there, you know. But that's where that all came from. It was that I think Gilbert Shelton did the cover for that. Yeah.
Who was famous for the Freak Brothers.
Freak Brothers, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Freak Brothers. and shout out to Paul Solomon, who was a big fan of the Freak Brothers too in his day. He's my brother, and he's sometimes a co-host on the show. But yeah, I remember the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers.
So is Hunter writing songs with members of Dark Star? I thought I read
we
that somewhere.
have one song that we came up with the music for collectively and recorded, and then Rob Baracco, who's our keyboard player, who you may or not know, played with Phil and Friends for years, and also the Dead when they were reformed as the Dead. He had a relationship with Robert Hunter and did a whole album of songs co-written with Baracco and Hunter. So he took the song. He said, "What do we got to lose?" You know, he sent it to, emailed it over to Hunter, and Hunter was kind of like at first, I don't know if I should be writing for Dark Star Orchestra. It was a little weirded about a little. And then about 20 minutes later, we get this email. He listened to it, and he was, the inspiration was right there. And he wrote this lyrics for it with a great song, and it's called "Run Mary." It's actually on that disc there.
Which means that we will have to actually play that. So maybe we'll do that.
That's the last cut on there.
There we go. So you know what? We'll be playing that.
It.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
That's Dark Star Orchestra with Rob Baracco and Lisa Mackey singing, and all of us playing with lyrics by Robert Hunter.
All right, great. So let's do that right now. We're going to play this, and we'll be right back after this song. You are listening to Taking Care of Business on 88.1 WCWP, WCWP.org, and TCBRadio.com.
Join LIU Post for a free college affordability seminar. Receive professional advice and personal guidance from our team of financial assistance counselors. Join us on Saturday, February 11th at 9 a.m. at LIU Post in room 119 of Humanities Hall. This workshop is free and open to the public. Reserve your spot today by calling 516-299-2900. That's 516-299-2900. Find out how good you really are. A message from 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
The town of North Hempstead's Project Independence invites you to a seminar on spinal stenosis, presented by Dr. Joseph Lee of Long Island Spine Rehabilitation Medicine. This presentation takes place on Wednesday, February 8th at 10:30 a.m. at Clinton G. Martin Park. To register or for more information, please call 311 or 516-869-6311. The community calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
What I really need, some kind of affection.
All right, we're back. This is Richard Solomon, Taking Care of Business, WCWP.org. Taking Care of Business is also found at tcbradio.com. And we are with co-host Jeffrey Maisel and Jeff Mattson of the Dark Star Orchestra and other musical endeavors. And we're going to be playing a lot of really great music today. I'm going to be talking about music. We were just talking a little bit before the break about Robert Hunter. I mean, it's just continuing in that thread of Robert Hunter. How do you think his song lyrics have changed over time? Is he, one of those people who've mellowed, a little bit more edgier, or is it sort of like Dylan, which is always just kind of always progressing to another level?
There is a thread that's fairly constant and comforting that runs through Robert Hunter's lyrics. I was just listening to an album of songs that he co-wrote with Jim Lauderdale. He's done about 3 albums of songs with Jim Lauderdale. This was all bluegrass songs. And, so you listen to one song and you say, oh, that's kind of not as edgy. And then the next song will be really edgy, And so, I think he always had kind of a range. There's still some psychedelic stuff in there, too, occasionally, like an image that pops up like, whoa, where did that come from, because he's drawing from all kinds of sources. He's really well-read, read a lot of the poets, and he's coming from that.
I was looking at your website, the Zen Tricksters website, and I saw a bunch of the songs that you wrote, and you were nice enough as a musician to post your lyrics. Talk about your style of writing. No one realizes, but you're in many ways you're a poet. You have to be a poet to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would aspire to a similar kind of not how do you put it? Not just directly saying what you're trying to say, kind of saying it in a more poetic way. And I was obviously influenced by Robert Hunter and Dylan, but also early on I was a big Elvis Costello fan, and I was just really taken with his clever wordplay. So there's some of that in some of the earlier songs, particularly. That's the stuff that pops in my head a lot.
When you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you see things like napkins with lyrics, and you see like Jimi Hendrix wrote originally it was Purple Haze, Jesus Saves, and you see him crossing it out and he kind of rewrote it. Do you have like a whole like a shoebox of like notepads?
Oh my God, and
business cards,
unlabeled cassettes with song ideas, like thousands of them, and then just someday. You always say to yourself, someday I'm going to go through that stuff, and there's got to be some good stuff in there. But it doesn't ever come. But maybe.
Well, you never know.
If I really get to a dry point.
I saw somewhere Dark Star's thinking of doing some of their original material, maybe warming up for themselves in a sense.
Well, we have talked about that. We're taking a very low-key approach to the whole original thing. We're kind of just doing it. We're recording it while we're on the road to fill the time in during the days while the crew is setting up the gear. we're traveling with like a portable studio, and we're not fooling ourselves. We know that people want to see Dark Star Orchestra. They want to see the Grateful Dead thing. So we're not in danger of turning into an original band. But by the same token, there's no reason why we can't exercise that creative muscle and write songs and record them, and then maybe make a CD and put it on the merch table, and people can take it or not. And then as long as we're not taking away anything from our normal show, maybe we could open for ourselves and call ourselves something else.
Would that be a first? That's like almost like Sgt. Pepper opening for the Beatles, or the Beatles opening for Sgt. Pepper, something like that. The members of the Grateful Dead, when they were doing the Grateful Dead thing, I mean, they had tons of side projects. There was sort of, there was Rat Dog, and there was the Jerry Garcia Band, and then, there was just all. I saw Jerry Garcia at the Warwick Theater in New York. I saw him in California. I'll tell you a great little story that people don't know. I used to work out in California, and in those days, you'd call up express tickets. They would actually hand deliver a ticket to your hotel room. I was there for 6 months. And I would rent a car and go to the Oakland Coliseum. So I was there for like Chinese New Year. I was there for Mardi Gras. It was really, really cool. And it was quite an experience. And it was interesting because being out in California and seeing and being part of that experience was a little bit different than going to the Madison Square Garden shows, which were just complete mob scenes of themselves. But
more of a hockey crowd in New York.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that I've actually talked to Phil about this. The New York crowd is. The energy is just much higher, Is that
through the roof?
Some West Coast fans kind of look down on the New York crowd as just being like rowdy yahoos or something like that. But the Dead really appreciated a New York crowd because they got this energy thrown at them like that you better put up or shut up kind of a thing, and they so they always look forward to coming to New York and playing in the New York area.
Well, in your experience in touring, do you get that? Do you really see a difference in regions as far as the energy levels of fans and in the audiences?
Well, I do see that particularly the Northeast. There's a kind of a higher energy. It's not any necessarily more appreciation, but just. It's
more of a manifestation of the appreciation?
I mean, in the West Coast, they're just a little more laid back. And plus, the West Coast has with Grateful Dead music is they feel like, that's our band, and they feel very proprietary about it, and they think the band owes it to them, kind of. That's what it comes across to me, like they're they expect the best, and we're just going to sit here and enjoy it and get that. But
I think New York, it's more like party. It's party time.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's definitely an intense scene. Plus, what's interesting about sort of the New York crowds is, at least when the fans talk, they actually talk to each other about the shows, the music. When I'll see, a show here locally, and you'll talk to people you've never talked to, just kind of on the way to your car or something like that. And they'll be talking about, wow, this was like that. Or I remember this. All these people, will just really, and you don't really get that with other genres of music and other performances, either in the rock category.
Well, New York energy, just in general, is just more in your face.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's holding anything back. They're just like, hey, for good or bad. It can be.
How does that affect you as a musician?
Well, I grew up here, so I'm used to that.
So it's par for the course.
That was the way all the shows were that I went to. Most of the shows. I mean, I did some traveling too, but that's what I was accustomed to. So that feels about right to me. I know.
How many shows do you do a year? I mean, it's staggering.
Perform?
Yeah.
Well, Dark Star does about 140 shows a year.
Wow.
Now that's. Not including the travel days and the days off in between when you're on the road. So I'm probably out on the road over, I don't know, 220 days a year or something like that. And then I do the other things when I get home.
In your spare time.
Yeah.
Your hobbies.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that.
So if trucking is sort of the theme song of the road for the Dead, and I guess Turn the Page was for Bob Seger, where do you kind of come in? Because you're always on the road, and I guess what's like your theme song of the road, so to speak, or how do you feel about the road? Because it's both. I'm sure brutal and exhilarating.
I was thinking about that today. You remember the band Rockpile?
Yeah.
They had an album. It was Seconds of Pleasure, and in the footnote was months of touring. But no, everybody feels a little ambivalent about the road. I love going out and playing. I think by nature I'm kind of a homebody. I'm fine being home. I mean, I like to travel. I've gotten to see the whole country and parts of the world. But
I remember seeing on your blog like greetings from Japan or something.
Yeah. We played the Fuji Rock Festival this year. We're going in March. We're doing 3 nights in Amsterdam and a night in London. Doing some world traveling. It's still America, but got up to Alaska this year. That was fun. I had never played up there.
Wow.
So
do you ever get to try to take some time to enjoy some of the local sites, or is it all business and just traveling?
I mean, a lot of it's like that. We travel at night in a tour bus, so we just sort of wake up in the next town. So it's
like the time warp.
You have to go up and look. We have posted on the wall on the bus like, where are we today? Oh, DeKalb. Okay, and. So a lot of it's like that, but then you have a day off in a really cool place, and you take advantage of it. Like it wasn't even a day off. I was in Detroit, and me and one of the drummers went over to the Motown studios. That was
that must have been awesome.
Yeah, funky little studio. It's all still the way it was, and you're just looking at. It's like about the size. The room isn't much bigger than this room, and there's a piano that, they played on I Can't Get Next to You or whatever. You're just like, oh, my God. All this magical music happened in this tiny room.
Yeah. So tell us about Japan. Were there Deadheads there?
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah. What happened over there?
I'm told their audience is very polite. Like
I've done. Yes. The first time I was over there was in 2001. 2001, my wife says. With the Zen Tricksters, and we did like about a week over there. And first show was at the Bottom Line, actually, in Nagoya, which was the same people who owned the Bottom Line here in New York City. And so this is our first Japanese show. First thing you noticed is everybody's dressed the same way the American Deadheads are. So that's like, I wasn't expecting there to be Deadheads at all, let alone like in full regalia. And then, so we come on stage, and here's the part that's weird. It's dead silent. Everybody's, and it couldn't be more unnerving. We were like, make some noise, please. Pretend to talk to each other. It was so, but then they were so, that was their way of being polite and anticipatory. They were all sort of waiting, and we're out there doing our tuning rituals, but then they loved the music. They knew the words. They knew all. It was remarkable. It was just there are Japanese Deadheads. Yes.
Wow. Well, that's like what Don Headley said. I saw a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. Like one of those things. Does the road go on forever? Like the Allman Brothers said. Is it just endless? And
well, so far.
Yeah.
I'm eventually you got to hit the wall. I mean, look at Dylan's still going.
Yeah, and how old? He's in his 70s, right?
Yeah, and he's he's out there on what's been since about 88, I think, has been on what they call the never-ending tour. In that, he takes time off, but it's not like the Stones where they do a big 18-month tour and then they're off for 6 years. He's out there doing 4 or 5 big tours a year since '88.
Wow.
And he was touring before that too, but they were more like just small one.
And during one of all of those never-ending tours, he managed to somehow in his spare time do 200 shows of theme time radio.
Yes.
You know, which I don't know where he got the time to get like a sound truck and get like 20,000 records and start playing Piece of the and doing all these themes.
He also did a tour with the Dead in the 80s.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was at one of those shows.
Did you catch any of those
Oh
shows?
yeah. That was and that wasn't much of a tour. It was really just
It was a summertime thing.
It was like 6 shows. Yeah, that was 87. Yeah, I saw about three of those. There was 3 on the East Coast, 3 on the West Coast.
So you're one of the few people in the world that have this Grateful Dead perspective from both sides, the fan side and the playing
I guess
side.
you could say that. Yeah.
Which is more fun for you? Or
It's a great question.
Yeah, they're both really fun, and they're really, really fun for different reasons. I mean, I wouldn't want to trade all the Dead shows there. I had tremendous experiences. And by the same token, I love to play so much, I wouldn't want to give that up either.
Yeah.
So I refuse to choose.
see, for me, my fan experience exceeds my air guitar experience.
Oh, well, there's that.
Well, you know what's amazing about the Dead experience, at least from my perspective, was here were people who were sponsored by nobody. You know, it wasn't like, Famous Beer Can Company presents, or some DJ from...
The opposite of that.
Right. It would be blah, 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 proudly presents in conjunction with so-and-so. It was just, they came out, they tuned up, they played for a good long time. You really felt like, you had a great experience. And then it was sort of like, all right, we'll just see you tomorrow, because they just kind of expected you to be there for like the next event. They were not sponsored by any corporate interest. They didn't really advertise that much. You just kind of knew that when the shows were coming, and this was before the internet. And, they were true to themselves. They really were. They just, and they had just some amazing music. I mean, things like, Eyes of the World is just a great inspirational song. My wife and I just had a daughter, 4 months ago. And it's like, that's like a song you want her to know, And then, of course, it's also what's great about the whole music is that it's such American music. I mean, a lot of it's like it goes back to the roots of the the sort of the jug banjo kind of music. Were you a big fan of the Mother McCree's Uptown stuff?
I mean, that's before my time, but
it was before everybody's time. Yeah,
well, we actually we just started doing one of those songs in our acoustic sets from that record that they put out.
The Uptown Jug Champions.
Yeah, Mother McCree's Uptown Jug Champions. Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny about that CD is at the very, very end, just in case you don't know, this was, I think this was a show that was recorded in Stanford University. And it was like,
tangent.
Yeah, and it was like left in somebody's like attic for like a couple of decades. And then I think when they were cleaning it out, they found these like lost tapes. And what was very interesting is on the very last track, the band members introduced themselves, and Jerry Garcia says something like, I'm a music teacher, and we just like to play. It's not like we're going to become famous or anything. And when you hear that, you just got to crack up.
The whole thing seemed like one big accident.
Well, even before that, when he was just a bluegrass banjo player, he used to follow the Kentucky Colonels around. Clarence White played with him, and there's a live album I have where he actually introduces them in like 1962.
Wow.
And he says, the best bluegrass band in the world, the Kentucky Colonels. And they break into a fiddle tune called Fire on the Mountain. Interesting coincidence.
When you play with Donna,
yeah,
how is that different than maybe some of your other endeavors? I mean, you mentioned a little bit about her key being a little bit higher.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was just singing Jerry songs, But with that band, we hit on some of her songs she's known for, and then we do a bunch of Dead songs and Garcia Band songs, all part of her thing. And then we write songs. We have some songs that she's written by herself, some songs that she and I have written together, and we also take songs and rearrange them, much like the Dead did, and something like Darkness by the Youngbloods, or She Said by the Beatles. And we'll come up with our own arrangements for them. To Love Somebody, the Bee Gees song. Don't Fight It. Well, it's actually on that CD. Don't Fight It.
Then we
Wilson
should play that
Pickett.
here now.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're listening to Richard Solomon on Taking Care of Business 88.1 FM, WCWP, WCWP.org, and TCBRadio.com. I was having such a good time, I forgot to do the mandatory station IDs. We're going to play that one particular song.
Don't Fight It. It's a Wilson Pickett song that we rearranged. Donna singing it, and we recorded it down in Muscle Shoals where she lives, and gets that really greasy sound down there.
All right, so we'll be playing that, and then right after that, we'll be right back.
Everybody's dancing. They can't help them.
You are listening to Taking Care of Business on 88.1 WCWP, WCWP.org, and TCBRadio.com.
Weekdays on WCWP.
Start your mornings off with the best AAA music at 9 and again at 3.
At noon, check out America's #1 progressive talk show host on the Tom Hartman program.
The hottest hits keep you going on your ride home. Check out Total Access at 4.
Get in the game with the Sports Wire at 6 and talk collegiate and professional sports.
And spend your nights rocking out the rock show at 7.
Keep it locked on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
If you're looking for love this Valentine's Day, Little Shelter is a great place to start your search. Find the perfect furry companion for you or a cuddly gift for someone else. You can sponsor or adopt a dog or cat today by visiting Little Shelter. Give the gift of life this Valentine's Day. For more info, please call 631-368-8770 or visit littleshelter.com. The community calendar is a public service from 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
No soul to her, it's just an appliance. There's no art to her love, she has it down to a science. We met once by coincidence at the bottom of a dirty ditch. I thought I'd make the best of it through arbitrary eyes. Slumber the colors you see. They toss you and turn you uncomfortably. While I rest in peace with a warm heart for you. I'm keeping my heart warm for you. For you. A heat rash in a cold war with uncontrolled fire. A stem without the flower and pretends to be desire. I wrestled with the best of her, got bloodied in the end. I gave my life for bed and held my observations high. Now you can pay by numbers, you won't impress me. Shut-eyed slumber, the colors you see. They toss you and turn you uncomfortably. While I rest in peace with a warm heart for you. I'm keeping my heart warm for you. For you. And she says the time is money, and money buys a thing. And she wants to be rich and live up to her name. And she thinks the gold will buy her a life without pain. But the truest of fortunes is love, the kind handed down from above. Pilot pointed downward for you.
Wow, that was wild. So in case you missed it, you got to catch it. We're going to archive this somewhere. My thanks to Kristen Kay, who did some great audio engineering, for Chris, who put the show together, and of course to Jeffrey Maisel, my co-host, for this very wonderful show, and to Jeff Mattson, who just is an incredible, dedicated musician. Catch him at all of his websites: darkstarorchestra.net, zentricksters.com, jeffmattson.info, and a lot of other places, including Facebook and myspace.com. We'll see you in a week. Car Talk is next. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
Check out our all-star comedy show to benefit WCWP Radio.
Featuring the best comics from Long Island and all around the country.
Join us at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown on Thursday, February 23rd at 8 p.m.
Go to WCWP.org and click on Governor's Comedy to buy tickets.
Tickets must be purchased in advance.
All proceeds benefit WCWP Radio.
WCWP's all-star comedy show at Governor's Comedy Club. Brought to you by 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
The Town of North Hempstead, Project Independence, along with the St. Francis Hospital Community Outreach Program, presents a series of free health screenings. The screenings take place from December 20th through February 28th and include a brief cardiac history, blood pressure, simple blood tests for cholesterol, and diabetes screenings. For more information on dates and locations, please call 311 or 516-869-6311. The community calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
This is WCWP, Brookville, New York, LIU Post Public Radio. Hear us at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.